US President Joe Biden gave an evening formal address from the Oval Office live on TV during the week, much to the horror of his advisors, no doubt.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured.
Yes, thankfully, former Trump is not a former Trump and is not seriously injured. This man should be in treatment and care, not the Oval Office.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America.
Ah, yes, the division for America. That's what Joe is all about. I'm pretty sure he meant to say the vision for America, but the Freudian slip tells all. And it gets better.
The issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets.
No, the good old battle box, not the ballot box. And he said it twice, the battle box. These Freudian slips are amazing, they really are, and very telling. I feel bad for poking fun at a person who is obviously not well, but this man should be in treatment and care, not the Oval Office. You know, actually, I don't feel sorry for him anymore because he's put himself there. He's had plenty of opportunity to gracefully step aside now. So I'm sorry, but from now on, until you lose in November, Joe, you are fair game. Dementia or no dementia, Parkinson's or not.
You know, we're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to make America, think about it. What's made America so special? Here in America, everyone must be treated with dignity and respect, and hate must have no safe harbor. Here in America, we need to get out of our silos, where we only listen to those with whom we agree, where misinformation is rampant, where foreign actors fan the flames of our division to shape the outcomes consistent with their interests, not ours. Let's remember, here in America, while unity is the most elusive of all goals right now, nothing is more important for us now than standing together. We can do this.
Yeah, yes we can. So it all sounds lovely, right? It's the kind of left, they never do, they always say the lovely things, but you've got to watch what they do, not what they say. The patronising tone of big government, the fakeness and the utter hypocrisy of it is all just too much, as Daily Wire commentator Ben Shapiro pointed out.
So the walk back that we are seeing from the Biden administration, from the Biden White House, is an acknowledgement that we need to cool the rhetoric, that the rhetoric has to calm down, which of course is something that I have been saying for years in this country, is that when you declare that your political enemies are such a threat to the republic, that if they are elected will be, say, the last election, that'll be the end of America, that you and your friends are going to end up in actual jail. You're not joking about it. You actually mean that. When you say that sort of stuff, you are exacerbating political divides to the extent that somebody could take you seriously and then go attempt to shoot the president of the United States in the head, for example.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro on his Daily Wire show there. So just how bad have the media been in the years that Trump has been in power and the years since? Independent and conservative media have been compiling clips of the kind of inflammatory rhetoric used by the Democratic Party and the mainstream media against Trump. Cauldron Pool assembled this little reminder. And remember, These are the same people who gladly reported the indictment of Trump for insurrection because he apparently incited the January 6 protesters to enter the Capitol building by telling them to peacefully protest. Right.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
That's the kind, compassionate side of politics, folks, the left-wing side of politics. And they call the right-wing the crazy side. No, the left are radical extremists, and the right are now the sensible centre. It's really hideous stuff. And that compilation was put together by Calder and Poole, another Australian independent media channel. And Australia's own Sky News channel put this more recent compilation together of the recent Democrat talking point that's been delivered about Trump as an existential threat to the nation.
He's running against a man who is an existential threat. Donald Trump is a plague on the American conscience and the American nation.
Donald Trump is an existential threat that the antidote to whom the antidote is Joe Biden.
I think that Donald Trump is the most grave threat that we will face to our democracy in our lifetime.
We have to make the case Donald Trump does continue to pose an existential threat to our democracy.
Trump is a existential, urgent threat to our democracy.
Donald Trump cannot be president again. He's an existential threat to democracy. We got to focus on the greatest threat to American democracy that we have ever seen, and that is in Donald Trump.
That's the kind of rhetoric that turns the heat up. That's the insanity right there. Donald Trump is not an existential threat to democracy. Donald Trump is an existential threat to the Democrats. That's what they can't stand. That compilation from Sky News Australia. So the Democrats turn the hysteria up to 11, and then when somebody very nearly assassinates the man, they say that we need to tone down the rhetoric a little. And by we, they mean Republicans and conservatives, not themselves. It truly is astoundingly obscene hypocrisy, as Ben Shapiro noted.
The people who've been heating up the rhetoric to the point where there was an assassination attempt against Donald Trump have been doing so for 10 years. And they include people like Joe Biden, who all the way back in 2011 was suggesting that Tea Partiers were terrorists, that they were akin to terrorists. He's a person who suggested that Mitt Romney wanted to put black people back in chains. Joe Biden has spent large swaths of his career engaging in the most extraordinarily radical type of rhetoric with regard to his political opponents, full-scale demonization. The message that he was attempting to purvey is a fine message. The problem is that coming from Joe Biden, who refuses to dissociate from his central campaign message, which is that his opponent is a fascist who is going to destroy the country wholesale and turn himself into a Hitlerian dictator, it rings pretty false.
Yep, Ben Shapiro on his Daily Wire show there. At no point did President Biden say, and it starts with me. And his lackluster press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, was typically vague and waffly when she was asked point blank about it.
Does the president regret anything that he has said in the course of this campaign about his Republican rival or anybody else in the political space? Does he plan to adjust his rhetoric, or is it just a call for other people to make changes?
So I want to just be very clear, and you know this. I've been asked about anytime there's violence, sadly, that comes up across the country. The president has always spoken out forcefully against violence, always.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question that was asked. She's pivoted to violence. The question was about President Biden's own rhetoric, the existential threat to democracy type messaging. So let's try it again, Karine.
We don't want to politicize this moment. We want to unite. We want to continue to focus on that. And that's what the president's going to focus on right now.
His messaging change this week?
His messaging is going to be really clear. He's going to continue to engage with the American people. That's what you're going to see in the next upcoming days, upcoming weeks. Nothing different than what he's done in the last almost 4 years. It is crucial, though. It is important that we bring the temperature down. That's what the president has said. That's what he wants to see. And, he's going to live through those values, and that's what you're going to see. Talk about his agenda, highlight his agenda. That's what you'll see in the next couple of days. Go ahead, Jackie.
Great. Taking another stab at the question you've answered several different ways, but I guess more simply, are we going to continue to hear the president in official events or on the campaign trail use the phrase threat to democracy specifically?
I want to be very clear. The president's always going to denounce violence, forcefully denounce it. He's always been against this.
Yeah, we're just not going to get any kind of statement of self-reflection or humility from old Joe and his mouthpiece, Karine. Maybe just one more shot at it.
It'd be really hard to do, though, if you're trying to make a shift away from what has been the platform of this administration, of his campaign, in that the view is that Trump and the MAGA Republican agenda is a threat to democracy. So how do you get that message across while bringing the temperature down? How is that phrasing going to be replaced? Is it going to be replaced?
Well, look, what I can say is this. We have our differences, and it's okay to have our differences.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not going to get answered. Just waffle, 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 nice sounding phrases, more nice sounding phrases, more waffle, waffle, typical left wing talk, talk, talk and no action. It's just time to give up, folks. Hope you enjoyed that clip. The Other Side is your weekly analysis of the media's best news and commentary without the woke. And we need your support. Please make sure you subscribe to our channel right here on YouTube and follow us on X at The Other Side on X. It's totally free, but we could always do with your support. So if you'd like to make a donation, click the Super Thanks button on YouTube with the $ and the thanks on it right under the video frame below. And if you're watching on YouTube, check out the full episode that this clip came from right here.